Good day, everyone. Welcome to Lesson 12 on Effective Communication. For today's lesson, we will focus on cohesive writing. Have you ever read a paragraph where the sentences are correct, but somehow the ideas do not seem connected? You may understand each sentence individually, but the whole paragraph still feels confusing. That is where cohesion becomes important. Cohesive writing helps us connect ideas smoothly so that the readers can easily understand what we are trying to communicate. In this lesson, we will learn how to use cohesive device to make our writing clearer, more organized, and more effective. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to first, use cohesive device to improve the clarity of writing. Second, select appropriate transitions depending on the purpose and tone. Third, revise disorganized text into coherent paragraphs. Remember that our goal is not simply to write grammatically correct sentences. We also need to make sure that our ideas are connected logically. Good writing allows readers to move smoothly from one idea to the next. Let us begin with the situation. Imagine that you are a student writer from your school publication. You submit a feature article to your editor. Your ideas may be interesting, but your editor notices that some sentences feel disconnected. What could be the problem? Sometimes our writing contains good ideas, but the reader struggles because the idea are not properly linked. Think about this question. How can we help our readers understand the relationship between our ideas? One answer is by using cohesive devices. So, what is exactly cohesion? Cohesion refers to how ideas are connected in writing to create a smooth and logical flow. You can think of cohesion in three ways. First, cohesive devices act like glue. They hold sentences and ideas together so that they remain connected to the main idea. Second, they act like road signs. They tell readers where the discussion is going. Third, they act like a logical guides. They help readers follow our train of thoughts without becoming confused. For example, words such as however, therefore, first, and for example tell readers the relationship exists between ideas. Without these signals, even good ideas may disappear disorganized. There are many cohesive devices, but in this lesson, we will focus on five common types. The first is addition. We use addition when we want to provide another related ideas. Examples include moreover, furthermore, and in addition. For example, exercise improves a physical health. In addition, it reduces stress. The second type is contrast. We use contrast when two ideas are different or opposite. Examples include however, on the other hand, and but. For example, the activity was difficult. However, the students completed it successfully. The third type is cause and effect. These devices show why something happened or what happened because of it. Example includes therefore, as a result, and because. For example, it rained heavily. As a result, the outdoor activity was postponed. The fourth type is sequence. Sequence words show the order in which ideas or events happen. For example, first, then, and finally. For example, first gather materials, then follow the instructions. Finally, check your work. The fifth type is example. We use this when we want to provide an illustration or specific example. Examples include for instance, for example, and such as. For example, there are many ways to stay healthy. For example, you can exercise regularly and eat nutritious foods. The cohesive device you choose should match the relationship between your ideas. Let us see what happens when sentences are not properly connected. Consider this paragraph. I bought some lettuce to make vegetable salad. I need to be healthy and lose some weight. Green vegetables can boost your metabolism. Food Rescue Philippines promotes green vegetables. The sentence contains information, but the ideas sound separate or choppy. Now, compare it with the revised version. Food Rescue Philippines promotes green vegetables as green vegetables can boost metabolism. That is why I bought some lettuce to make vegetable salad because I need to be healthy and lose some weight. Notice that the ideas are now more connected. The reader can see relationship between promoting green vegetables, their health benefits, and the speaker's decision to buy lettuce. This is why the cohesive devices do. They help transform separate ideas into a more connected messages. Why are transitions so important? Without transitions, writing can feel choppy. The ideas may be confusing and the overall message may become unclear. With transitions, however, our writing develops a clear flow and logical structure. Transitions can also make communication more persuasive because readers can understand how one idea supports or relates to another. Think of transitions as bridges. A bridge connects one place to another. In the same way, transition words connect one idea to another. The goal is not simply to insert transitions words everywhere. The goal is to use the right transition for the relationship between ideas. Now let us practice. Look at these ideas. Students study hard. Exams are difficult. Many pass. The sentence makes sense individually, but the relationships between them are not very clear. We can revise them as students study hard because exams are difficult. Therefore, many pass. Notice that the words because and therefore show the connection clearly. Because introduces a reason. Therefore, introduces a result. Now, ask yourself, what was missing in the original version? The answer is the clear relationship between the ideas. This shows why choosing the proper cohesive device is important. Cohesive device also depend on your audience and purpose. Consider this idea. The school cafeteria is serving better food now. It is more expensive. If you were writing for a school newspaper, you might say, the school cafeteria now offers improved meal options. However, prices have also increased as a result. This is more formal. But if you are writing an informal comment on social media, you might say, okay, the food's actually better now, but it's pricier too. The basic message is similar, but the language changes depending on your audience. Formal writing usually uses more carefully selected words and structures. Informal communication may use controversial expressions. The important thing is to choose cohesive device that are appropriate for the purpose, audience, and tone of your message. You may be wondering, where will I actually use cohesive writing? The answer is almost everywhere. You will use cohesive devices when writing. Emails, reports, essays, social media captions, and even job applications. Whenever you need to explain something clearly, your ideas must be logical connected. For example, when writing an email to a teacher, you may use because to explain a reason. In a report, you may use therefore to present a conclusion. In an essay, you may use however to introduce a contrasting idea. This means cohesive writing is not only an academic skill, it is also a practical communication skill. Before we end our lesson, let us reflect. First, why do we need transitions in writing? Transitions help our readers understand how our ideas related. Second, how does the audience affect our choice of language? We adjust our tone, words, and transitions depending on whether we are communicating formally or informally. Third, when should we avoid overusing transitions? Remember that using too many transitions can make writing sound forced or repetitive. Not every sentence needs a transition word. Use transitions only when they help clarify the relationship between ideas. The most important thing is great ideas need great connections. Cohesive devices help guide readers from one thought to another and make our writing clearer and more effective. To summarize today's lesson, cohesion is about connecting ideas so that writing flows smoothly and logically. We learned 5 common purposes of cohesive device: addition, contrast, cause and effect, sequence, and example. We also learned that choosing the correct transition depends on the relationship between ideas, as well as the purpose, audience, and the tone of text. When you write, do not only ask yourself, are my sentences correct? Also ask, are my ideas clearly connected? Remember, clear writing is not simply a collection of good sentences. It is a set of ideas that work together to communicate one clear message. Thank you for listening, and always remember to connect your ideas so that our readers can easily follow your message.